Hello, guys, and welcome back to the Real Estate Roundup podcast. I am your host, Kobe Zinn, and as always, I am joined here by my co-hosts, Tony Flores and Andres Martinez. How you guys doing?
Howdy.
Howdy, I'm doing great.
Awesome. Love to hear it. Love to hear it. Love the energy today. And yeah, so today we are going to be talking all about new construction homes and why it's beneficial for a home buyer to consider or purchase and owning a new build home versus a resale home, which is I think what most people are used to. I think in this market, a lot of people are beginning to consider these options, and new builds have been very popular in some of these growing markets like San Antonio and surrounding markets like Austin here in Texas and all around the country as well. So we'll be talking all about that today. So make sure to stay tuned for that. But first and foremost, as always, let's catch up with our hosts. So we'll start with you today, Tony. How have you been? What's been going on with you?
I've been doing good. I'm working with a few people right now and helping them find their forever home, and then also just working with sellers as well. So it's been an interesting few days, and really enjoyed with people out. So
Yeah, absolutely. So staying busy, even though it's kind of wrapping up the end of the year, right?
yeah, we're still able to get some things done, and that's a good thing with the market kind of a little slower. The people that are in the market right now, they know are for sure interested. People either ready to buy or ready to sell. So very efficient use of time.
Right, absolutely, right. So as agents ourselves, right, we should maximize all the time that we have here, even though it's closing in on the end of the year. But yeah, how about you, Andres? I know you've been so actually before we even get into that, just wanted to point out you are actually a new home build specialist agent. So you've been working on some things like that, right? That we talked a little bit about before the podcast in the past week or so.
Yeah, so I have been working with a lot of new buyers. Um, I do a lot of new builds during this climate. Interest rates they have reached even up to like 8%. So with new builds, they're able to help you buy down the rate. So what I've been doing over the past week is just tapping in with all my sources. Me and Tony did a new builder's walkthrough the other day and just trying to gather as much information so I could share that with my clients.
Yeah,
Yeah. Absolutely. So let's talk about a little bit about that, and maybe just for you guys to share your experience on kind of what that was like doing a walkthrough with a builder, and maybe some of the things that you guys learned from that experience. So we'll start with you, Tony, and how did you guys kind of come about that, and what are some of the takeaways that you guys had?
yeah. So one of the things we like to do, Andres and I, we're really big on educating ourselves, keeping things on top of on what's happening in the market, and also who's doing what. As far as builders, we like to maintain, generate new those contacts with the new builder reps and know which ones are specializing in different communities. And so part of our self-education process is that we seek out opportunities to go talk to the different builders, and we also we want to learn as much as we can, because the more we know, the more we're educated, the better we are to serve our clients. So we had an opportunity to go directly to see a new home built in part of San Antonio that's really growing. It happens to be called Callis Ranch. We went to one of the builders there, and it wasn't just a talk about, oh, look how beautiful the home is. We actually had a chance to go and talk to the construction manager and talk about the different ways that they're building their houses. We looked at the plumbing, we looked at electrical, and we just had a really good meeting. We had the opportunity to ask more questions about how they're building, and also how they have guarantee, how they warranty their product, because different builders might have different variations in their warranty. So those are the types of things that we did, we continue to do, and one of the things we specifically did last week. And then coming up, we're actually going through a class through the board of realtors as well. So we'll get additional education and just want to make sure we're sharing as much as we can, learning as much as we can, and sharing that knowledge with our clients.
Right. Yeah. So what I'm hearing there is that you guys are always looking to, educate yourselves directly from the source when it comes to learning what are some of the new things happening, with builders, what different builders are doing to benefit and to actually help close out the transaction if somebody wants to, buy one of their homes. What are the differences between different builders and different communities? And that's really important here as we talk a little bit about, why it's actually beneficial for a buyer to consult with an agent, a real estate agent, before just pulling the trigger on buying a new home, right? But before we get into that, I mean, Andres, you are a new home specialist, like we mentioned, and you've been working with a lot of buyers who are looking to get into new construction homes. Um, so as far as your opinion goes, what would you say as, some of the benefits of buying and owning a new build home versus, purchasing a resale home that somebody else like owned by an actual homeowner instead of a builder?
So the thing is, I always explain to my first time home buyers, um, if they would like to get an existing home, I will uh, I will send them to a mortgage loan officer, and I'll get them pre-approved. When they get pre-approved under a higher interest rate, and then I show them how much their money will reach and how much they're able to afford. Then I'll take them to see existing homes. And when we walk into the existing homes, what they share with me is like, hey, I would like an open concept. I would like, it would be nice if this home would have a new AC HVAC, right? So when they start giving me this information at the end of the conversation, I always point out, well, let's take a look at a new build because a new build does have an open concept. A new build does have a new HVAC. It does come with warranties. Um, and it also, your money might be able to stretch a little bit more just because the buy downs. Um, and the reason they're able to do that is because um, when it comes to negotiating, do you want to negotiate with a homeowner that has one home and has all his feelings attached to it or her feelings attached to it, or a builder who has 30 inventory homes that is a willing seller and willing to work with us? At that point, the client has to make a decision. If they fall in love with an existing home, they're free to move forward with it. But if they fall in love with the new build, then at that point, they could see that that money is going to stretch a little bit more. With first-time home buyers, sometimes we're at very thin margins of what we qualify for, right? So if your interest rate fluctuates from a 7 to 8 at the moment, then you're obviously going to be able to afford less home. But if your interest rate and if there's a concession or a promotion ran through a builder at a 4.9, at a 5.5, at that point, that might be enough to help that first time home buyer get into a home.
Right.
So
So
there's
what
a
I'm
lot of
hearing
benefits there.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is, some of the benefits of buying a new construction home is you're getting all new, basically, appliances, right? That's actually connected to the house. So that's always been a concern, I think, for a lot of home buyers is, I need to sell it to replace this, or I need to sell it to replace that, right? I need to go pull out of my own pocket to replace this, that, right? You don't have that problem going into a new construction home. And also because the builders are so motivated, right? If you think about it from their perspective, to sell the house, that you're actually going to get a little bit more concessions, right? With some of the things that are happening with the interest rates, buy downs are a big one coming from builders. So they're motivated to actually sell the home as well. So that would be something that I think, as far as benefits goes, for a buyer to get into a new built home versus an existing home. So, how about you, Tony? From your experience working with buyers, would you say that's pretty much accurate?
Yes, just like Andres has mentioned, So their purchasing power is actually their dollar goes further in all other things being equal. Their purchasing power goes further, their dollar goes further. They can nitpick this home before they close. Hey, this is, I see a problem here. We do a blue tape walkthrough. We pick out all the things that the buyer doesn't like. On an existing home, there's going to be things just in the course of, people living their lives. There's going to be nicks and things like that. In a new home, you're trying to get the builder is going to do their best to make it as good as it can. Obviously new floors, but if there's walls or there's little gaps or things like that, they are very willing to take care of those things, remedy them, so that we can get to the closing table. The other thing that is really awesome right now. So there's always, a lot of times purchasing is really, you can leverage your purchasing time, because during the slower months is actually the time when a lot of people find their best deals. We're helping people right now. They're saving $30,000 off of a property that could have been 237,000. Now they're getting it for 207,000, and it was 237 just during the end of the summer, and now they're getting it for 30. So they're a lot of times they're walking in with day one. They're getting some really good equity, and they're getting a lower purchase. So they're getting a lower purchase price, and they're getting lower interest rates. So right now, during the winter and slower time of the year, it's actually a better time. And in some cases, if someone's in a lease, they can. If someone's leasing a house right now, they'll save more money, and the lease can potentially get paid off, and they'll save more money now than they would if they have to wait till their lease ends in, coming up in the busier months, because they might be paying a little higher rate because everyone's going back into the market. So that's the other thing about purchasing right now. um, is it's a great time. It's a great time just to, and also, just knowing the differences, things that we can pick out, knowing the different manufacturers, what their standards are and what other standards are. We can kind of help clients compare and contrast what they're getting, what the installation might look like on one home, what installation might look on another one. And then Andres is really, really great about keeping, like, especially because I kind of do ask Andres. He has been really strong in this, and I'm really starting to get into this, because we're talking about now variations of not only interest rates but also what are the tax rates, and he can tell you more about that kind of stuff as well.
That is correct.
Right. Yeah. So you are the new build specialist, in San Antonio, I would say for sure, Andres. And let's kind of go down that road, right? Now that we're talking a little bit about it, which is, the benefits of working with an agent, and an agent, especially like yourself, who is specialized in helping buyers, or new home buyers, even first time home buyers, that is, to get into new homes, right? So I'm sure if you're, you're kind of out there, you're considering buying a house, it's very easy to just reach a builder directly. And a lot of people are tempted to do that, right? You're going to get marketing from them. You're going to, reach out to them directly. But, in your kind of experience, what would you say are some of the benefits of working with a knowledgeable agent and consulting with a real estate agent instead of just going to a builder directly? So we'll start with you, Andres.
So the benefits is your real estate agent is knowledgeable and he understands the landscape. Like Tony was just mentioning, out here in the Northwest, San Antonio. So there's a high school named Harlan. On one side, the tax rate is a little bit higher, maybe $200-300 more per month than the front side of the school. And even though it's in a less than 1 mile radius, it makes a difference. So, what does a real estate agent provide for a client is value. So, the value would be for the real estate agent to try to keep as much money in the client's pocket as far as down payment. So, there is some loan programs that might work out, like USDA. There's first time homebuyer programs that work alongside with if a new builder were to offer closing costs. They at least offer some money towards closing costs. Most builders, not every builder, but most builders do. And then buying down that interest rate. Not every builder offers the same rate buy down. Some might just offer a large amount of cash, might be 20, might be 40,000. At that point, you have the choice to allot that money where you think best benefits your client, or the client, it best benefits them. So, with our experience, we're able to see where that money would best help them and keep money in their pocket.
Hmm. That's really interesting. I don't think a lot of people know that as far as working with an agent and the benefits that they're getting instead of just going directly to a builder is that they can actually save a lot of money when it comes to getting into a property as well. So, what about from your experience, Tony? Has that been what you've seen as well, or is there any other things that you guys have been doing as agents to better benefit the clients getting into a new build home?
Yeah, and it's true. Like we can our job is really to kind of guide our clients as best we can. So we want to put things on the table. So if you go directly to the builder, they're not going to say, well, you know, if the one around the corner a mile away is going to have lower taxes, right? So that's really the benefit of going with an educated and experienced uh, real estate agent. So like the home builder reps that man the model homes, they are many of them are so good, very good. Um, and But they're there at the end of the day. They're there just to help people in that direct community. Some can help in other areas, but what we can do is we can say, hey, well, this is a great builder, and these are some of the benefits, and we work side by side with them. But we can also say, well, the other one is doing this. And I also want to get back to some of these cost savings, what people are saving up front. I've got right now, working with some of the new home builder reps. I have a client that's interested. They want a large, either a very, very large lot, or they want green space for their dogs. That's very important to them. I found one for them because of my connections with the new home builder reps. And I messaged several of them that I know, and I got a really good match, really good match. And if they could potentially save $100,000 on that. It's actually a former model home, so they have savings and they have upgrades on the model home because as you probably know, the model homes, they put a lot of them put more bells and whistles on those model homes. So they want it to look its best, and so there's great savings. And the other reason why people can save money with new home builds is because many times these new home builds, not only they're selling the house, so a lot of times they actually are, have the insurance agency that also will help insure the house. They'll have the mortgage company that is they're making money on the mortgage, and the title company. So they're having a bigger piece of the pie, so they can give a savings here where they might not, or someone else, with the existing home sales, they're not going to have. They can only maybe potentially offer a rate buy down. So these are some of the reasons why we're seeing really good incentives. The other thing is the builders have to keep their people busy. So this is when they're trying to keep they got to sell houses in order to keep them building. So because if they don't build now during the winter time, they don't keep sales happening during the winter time. When it gets busier in the spring and summer, there people could be leaving now. So they've got to have incentives. They got to keep the motor going, keep the machine going.
No one likes to sit on inventory, right? Got to keep that inventory selling.
Exactly.
Right. Absolutely. And that's really interesting, right? Because I think somebody who is just kind of maybe looking at buying a home for the first time, or maybe they've been in the market for a little bit, I don't know if they're necessarily thinking about these things as far as the seasonal aspect of the business, right? They might understand it from, just an overall real estate perspective, understanding that the spring and the summer is usually when people move, and that's usually when they want to try to get into the market, but they don't understand it maybe from the builder's perspective, right? That you guys are covering now, which is they need to keep the homes selling. They need to keep turning over inventory so that way they can keep building and kind of keep up with the pace of the market demand in the next couple of 6 to 8 months, following the winter season, which is traditionally what was considered the slower season. So they're more incentivized
Yes.
to get their property sold. And something else that you mentioned, which was really interesting, is from the perspective of a consumer looking to work with an agent. It's beneficial to work with an agent because you guys are able to connect them with multiple different builders versus if you were just going to directly go to a builder. What happens is they're or a sales rep from a new homes community, they're going to be representing their interest, right? They want you to get into that one that one home or that one community instead of kind of opening your eyes to all these different options that are out there. So it's very similar to you know buying an existing home or a resale home versus where the seller rep, right, for the builders is just now the agent in that case representing the sellers, which is the building company, right? And they would as a consumer need an agent representing themselves to kind of look out for their best interests. So I think that's something that's really important that I don't know if a lot of people would. Is that something that you guys kind of have come across as you were, working with new home buyers?
So as far as for working with the real estate agent, they build rapport with their clients, right? And they understand their needs. Sometimes when we're looking at specific, and if I were to just walk in to a model home and there's a rep there, they could only offer me what they have available. But when you work with an agent, they're able to fulfill your needs and help you um, find that home that fits your family.
So it's you need to have representation on your side. Is really kind of what the agents is there for, to represent somebody who's looking to get into a new build home. So on that note, right, and so you guys are obviously staying pretty up to date with kind of what's going on in the market, as far as connecting with builders, connecting with Tony, like you mentioned, multiple sales reps that you have a network of. So what are some of the ways that you guys are actually going out there and staying in the loop and staying up to date with what's going on? Are you guys attending more events like this, or is there any other things that you guys are doing out there to better educate yourselves and better educate your clients? And we'll start with you, Tony, on this one.
Yeah. So just essentially, this is one of our core focuses. So what we do is we proactively seek out those new builders, develop relationships with them. We also ask for updated inventory lists so we can have a snapshot of what's going on. So when we get an updated inventory list, it is if you will, like a Polaroid picture of what's available right now. What are the incentives? Any specific things tied to it? Of course, we can sort it different ways and things like that. But yeah, we're just being proactive, going and shaking hands with them, meeting them, and talking to them about what's going on in their area. We can have a really good idea of what the developments are happening, and also we get really good feedback also from the clients that we serve and how they're enjoying their new neighborhoods and things like that. So and the neighbors, of course, everyone wants to enjoy their neighborhood and their neighbors and the amenities that come along.
Right. Yeah. So you're able to actually give people a comparison, right? Like a snapshot, like you were saying, of what incentives are being offered here. What are the pros and cons of this community and this one, and so on and so forth. So that's really beneficial. What about you, Andres? Are you doing anything different than that, or pretty much the same, just a little bit more?
So my Mondays are usually pretty busy, and the reason being is most home builders meet and they're able to see a forecast of what they're going to plan for the next week or even the next month. So inventories get updated, any incentives get updated. So if the interest rate buy down is going to change, or them being able to offer some closing costs, usually the changes are going to be made on a Monday. So every Monday, because I work with multiple builders and I have a lot of connections there, my phone, I'll get texts, emails, phone calls, and they're just updating me on what they got to offer. They know I'm able to represent their value, and they want to make sure that I have that information readily available to present to my clients. So that's how I've been able to build my rapport with the new builders, to where now they communicate with me. I receive the information, I share it with my clients, and help them the best possible.
So to kind of wrap up a little bit here, and we talked a lot about the benefits of getting into a new build home, benefits of working with an agent. Kind of on, I want to shift the perspective a little bit on the opposite side of that, right? So from what it sounds like, it's really beneficial to just kind of go after a new home if you're in the market for buy a house. So what about on the flip side of that, right? So why would somebody actually want to potentially purchase an existing home or a secondhand home, if you will, or a third hand home, rather than a new build? Because it does sound like a new build is pretty sweet to get into.
So existing homes will always be a strong market. Right now, the rate of existing homes has slowed down, and the new home sales have spiked up. But why does somebody? Why would someone be open to existing home? Well, of course, everyone wants to be in. They want to be in proximity to the home. I'm sorry, proximity to work, proximity to the loved ones that they have. So these are all things that are really core and very, very important to the prospective buyers. So we offer, of course, multiple services. We want to help our clients make the decision that works best for them. If a new home works for them, that's great. If an existing home uh, is best suited for them, you know, then that's the direction we will take them in. Existing homes, essentially, there's people love different characteristics about existing home. Generally speaking, it's because they want to be near family members or other people. Generally speaking, as a generalization, the the new home developments are generally on the outer skirts of typically of the city, metropolis. So because that's where the land has not been developed, and so things people, if it's potentially like a senior citizen or people that need to be closer to the medical centers, those are why reasons why people want to be usually closer, and there's not a whole lot of new home developments. There's small pockets, but not as much, of course, as exterior, the further outreaches and developing areas of the city.
Right. So what about you, Andres? I mean, you obviously work with a lot of new buyers, and what kind of advice are you giving them on that perspective?
So as far as on existing home, it's always a great option. Whichever option best fits you, that's the way we will find something that works for you. But what makes a person want to choose an existing home over a new build? It could be they want to live in a certain area. Their kids, they might want their kids to play in specific sport for a specific school. Um, they want to be close to work. They want accessibility to downtown. So here in San Antonio, um, the east side, and the surrounding areas of downtown, there's a lot of activity in that area. And it's because people want to be closer to the Pearl. They want to be closer to downtown. Um, as people become empty nesters, what they want is get a after work, be able to walk to a glass of wine, some good dinner. So sometimes, depending the person's need, it might fit that they purchase an existing home.
Right, absolutely. So it's all about, what people are looking for, right? And that's a big part of it is proximity. Proximity to the community, proximity to work, to other family members. And if you have children in your family, then proximity to certain schools and certain school zones as well. So that's all very important to consider. But I think, we covered a lot today as far as educating people on new construction, on working with an agent to better serve your interests for getting into a new build home. So why don't we wrap up here with just any last thoughts, as we, talk a lot about this episode on, kind of the winter season, as we kind of move, slowly, right, month to month into maybe the spring season as well. What are some practical advice you would give to somebody who might be in the market for a home and potentially for a new home as well? So we'll start with you, Andres, and then we will wrap it up with you, Tony.
So, my recommendation would be make sure that your real estate agent understands the climate. A year ago, or maybe even 18 months ago, both options were affordable. Um, Interest rates have risen, and getting a new build at this point is a good option. And the reason being is if I'm a first time home buyer and I have a very specific budget and I need my money to stretch, that's when a new build becomes of a benefit to me. One, closing costs, two, interest rates, and then warranties. The last thing you want as a first time home buyer is to purchase a home and your AC go out. You need to replace the roof. Even though we always recommend inspections, inspections are only good for the time they're being inspected. If 3, 4, or even a month after you close, that AC goes out, you're a homeowner now. That's going to be something that's coming out of your pocket. At least with a new build, you will have about a year, and some new builders are doing 2 years. Um, Warranties. At least it'll buy you some time to adjust and then work your budget, have a little surge of money to just save, um, and not be in shock with having to replace something so soon.
Yeah, great advice. And I'll also kind of just say, it's really, I'll just give also another tip. If you've already purchased a new home within the last year or two, one thing that you need to do and really should do is get a home inspection before your warranties run out, because this is a time where now you can get it fixed. Those things that maybe the first inspection didn't catch, you can get things that can be caught, and then they can get fixed while they're still under warranty. It's super great. I was representing a seller, and the house was not too old. It was just 2 years old. It was almost coming up on a 2 year anniversary. They had a warranty, and some of the issues with that house were undiscovered at first closing. And the buyer, now I'm representing a seller, but the buyer saw those things and they got scared about these problems, right? These items, 90% of them were covered under the manufacturer's, the builder's warranty. And that buyer wanted to have an $8,000 discount. We were able to eliminate that $8,000 bill because I made sure I contacted the warranty person with that specific builder, and we were able to get almost everything covered, and the rest of it, we just had some handyman work. But it's super, super important to get that thing. The other thing I want to mention is if you're interested, if you have any interest in a new home, and you see those signs popping up, you see a sign and you see all these signs with all these different builders and go here and go there. It's like this, like how do you discern which is best? So you want to do is you find an educated and experienced agent that can help you find the right builder and the right community for you, and they'll find one that you'll love best. All right, that's how we help people. We'd love to be able to work with you if you're in the area, and if not, if we can't help you, make sure you just talk to several different realtors and talk to the realtor before you actually enter into the new home showroom, because it's super important that we are able to represent you properly. And the best way we can do that is if we start the conversation alongside you with that.
And don't
Right.
sit on the sidelines. Don't sit on the sidelines. There's deals to be made, guys.
For sure.
Yep, there always is, right? It doesn't matter what time of the year. So it doesn't matter if you're listening to this, watching this in the wintertime, in the summertime, uh, in the spring, whatever, what kind of season it is, there's deals to be made. Just make sure you are talking to somebody who is experienced and that is able to give you the right advice to help you get into the perfect home for you, right? And even if you guys are not in the San Antonio surrounding areas, make sure to reach out to Tony or Andres. They can give you a lot of great advice and potentially even refer you to an agent in their network, which is nationwide, actually, somebody who can best represent your interest in your area. So even if you're in a different city or even in a different state, just reach out and they'll be able to find you somebody to best represent your interests. But I think we covered a lot today, and really appreciate you guys as always for coming on and sharing your knowledge and your wisdom. Can't appreciate you guys enough for doing that. Hopefully, you got a lot of value out of this episode, and we will see you guys next time on the Real Estate Roundup Show. Take care.